Welcome back to Yellowstone National Park. This is our second day touring the park, and in this video we're going to explore the lower loop of the park, following along with the official national park map. We're traveling from West Yellowstone all the way around to the lodge at Lake Yellowstone. We only missed this small section. We discover some new areas that I'd never heard of with incredible beauty, and we might have even spotted a grizzly. In last week's video, I took you on a full tour of the upper loop. If you're interested in that video, it's pretty amazing. I'll have links down in the description box below. And you can also check it out at the link at the end of this video. This morning is day 2 here in Yellowstone, and we're driving from the intersection of Madison down to Grant Village. We're staying tonight in Grant Village. This is the most popular section of the park with the Grand Prismatic Spring and Old Faithful, and it's a Saturday in the summer, so we expect it to be very crowded and slow going through these areas. But right about the Madison intersection, there's a turnoff for a drive to Firehole Falls, and we've just arrived. It is really beautiful. It's like a one-way 2-mile turnoff that parallels the freeway, but it goes down by the river. And everybody is here this morning. So this is a surprise. Firehole swimming area. And it does say to swim at your own risk. And there's a couple of restrooms here and little steps down to the swimming area. So this area is Fountain Flat Drive, and it looks like a one-way road, but there's basically plains, there's a river, a lot of people are fishing in the river, and there are some geysers in the distance, and we have some bison out in the field here. So it's probably a good place to check out some wildlife. Now this is called the Firehole River, and my guess is this is why. The mosquitoes are out thick here. The water is actually kind of lukewarm in the river, so it must be fed by several of these hot water basins, bubbling pots of water. I don't know exactly what the technical term is, but it's called the Firehole River, and for good reason. This is the fountain paint pots area. And it's early Saturday morning, and the crowds are already here en masse. Now the signs here tell you it's illegal to step off the boardwalk. Everything is boiling hot and very dangerous. So there's just a whole series of boardwalks and venting geysers and bubbling mud. It's a good variety at this location. But I have a feeling that everywhere we go today is going to be pretty awesome. This little noisy guy behind me sounds like a washing machine. It's called Red Spouter, and it did not exist until an earthquake in 1959. This was a grassy knoll, and then after that earthquake, this beauty arrived. That was a nice surprise. Clepsydra geyser started going off right as we approached it, so that was really pretty. All right, the next stop is Midway Geyser Basin. Now there is a lake loop road on the other side of the road that is one way that curves around and goes back up to that pot area we were, but the traffic is getting really bad, and we really want to see Grand Prismatic Spring, so we decided to come here first. We do have somewhat of a time schedule because we have dinner reservations tonight at Grant Village. We're also expecting a long wait at Old Faithful, so we're trying to time this right. So Midway Geyser Basin is a very popular spot, so come along as we check out this area for you and you can see the people. This is Excelsior Geyser Crater. So this particular geyser, after that big eruption in the 1800s, it basically cratered the system underground that would cause the geyser to erupt again. So it doesn't erupt anymore, which is why Steamboat Geyser is now the tallest at 300 feet. So I wanted to get up to the overlook over this area, and somebody heard me talking about it and said that that is a different exit. You have to go, not really an exit, but a different turnoff. You have to go up a little more up the road, and then you turn, and I already forget what he told me. Tower, what? Ferry something, Ferry Falls, I think he said, to turn off, and then you can reach the overlook. So I will, once we get there, I'll let you know. Full of steam. I don't know if this is showing up on camera, but you can even see the steam is multicolored. It's red, yellow, and blue as it comes off that spring. So the signs did mention that there's often windy conditions here, and we saw a hat and a visor off, somebody blown off somebody's head, and you obviously can't walk out there to get it. So watch out for the wind. I had seen so much hype about going to the Overlook for the Grand Prismatic Spring and how it's so much better than seeing it at ground level. But I must say, I disagree. The intense colors at the ground level is something worth seeing. Maybe because I'd seen so many images already online about the Overlook, it just wasn't as dramatic. We'll be going to the Overlook next, so let me know in the comments which you prefer. The most amazing thing is there is no filter on my footage. This color is truly that vibrant. See that buffalo over there by the trees? Got a cute shot of him while we were parking. So the Firehole Falls turnoff, which is the next turnoff to the right after you leave the Midway Geyser Basin, doesn't say anything about having access to the overlook off the side of the road. But you pull in here, find a place to park. It's very popular. Parking is at a premium, people parking along the street, etc. We're gonna go check out the overlook. I've heard, I mean, it's gotta be one of the best views of the whole park. Right here by the parking lot, and then you can see the river right behind there. Now if you're really lucky, you'll get a space in this first lot, but it's super small. So it starts out flat along the meadow on the opposite side of the river. So you can kind of see the steam and the geyser area right here. So we have a path straight ahead, and then this says trail. This is where you're going to want to go up to go to the overlook. It's a steep little path, but it's not too long. But there's an intersection where you need to go up. There's a sign that says trail. And I was thinking that you just stay straight because there was so many people walking back from that direction, but then you realize you're at like the same elevation as the pool, so if you want to overlook, you need to go up higher. So look for that turn. There's one before it that we did not go up, but the second intersection you want to go up. And stand by for the grand views. On to the next stop. Now it's probably getting near lunchtime and Old Faithful is next on the list. And depending on, I don't know the timing of the geyser ahead of time. I was not able to look that up. So we're just expecting that if we have a long wait, you know, we'll eat lunch, we'll check out the lodge. Maybe we'll get lucky. So Old Faithful erupts every 60 to 90 minutes. And if I would have thought about it, I could have asked, you know, the guard when we entered, but I forgot. So we'll take our chances. Now we're at the area around Old Faithful. This is a big area with a lodge, a general store, gas station, and this is where Old Faithful erupts every 90 minutes approximately. So we've arrived, it's about 12:15, and I think the last eruption was at 12, so it doesn't go off again until 1:35. So we're gonna walk around, get maybe a snack, something to drink, and we're gonna check out the lodge and just get our bearings around this area. But I did notice that this area has cell service. There was no cell service for most of the park, so that's good to know if you need to touch bases for anything. Inside the Visitor Education Center, they actually have a few benches and this beautiful big window. So if the weather was bad, you could sit inside and still see the geyser. The Old Faithful Visitor Education Center was built in 2010. It is a gorgeous building. It's a great place to come and learn about the supervolcano that makes up this geothermal activity at the park. Next up, I wanted to walk through the historic Old Faithful Inn. This is the most popular place to stay in the park. It was built between 1903 and 1904 with local logs and stone. It is one of the largest log-style structures in the world, and it was made from native lodgepole pine about 4 miles away. I was blown away by the gorgeous architecture in this structure. We found a coffee shop up on the second floor, so of course we couldn't pass this up. And then we discovered a patio outside where you can sit and watch Old Faithful erupt from here if you'd like to. We'd probably get a big hat. We might as well go up close. Yeah. How cute is that tour bus? Now that cool little tour bus is ran by Xanterra, and they run a lot of these national park lodges. So you can probably set that up if you're staying here at the Old Faithful Lodge. Maybe you can set it up if you're not staying at the lodge. It's just through their website. So here we are, we're gonna wait for the show here at Old Faithful. Old Faithful really draws quite a crowd. This is my only memory of the park from my childhood. Geologists believe that Old Faithful has been erupting for at least 10,000 years, and possibly much longer. While the interval between eruptions has changed slightly over time, Old Faithful has maintained its general pattern of regular eruptions throughout recorded history. recent decades, the average interval between eruptions has increased slightly from about 66 minutes in the 1950s to around 90 minutes today. When they state the predicted time, it's plus or minus about 10 minutes. So I was really curious how this works. There is a cave underneath Old Faithful that fills with very hot water with a very small opening that reaches to ground level. And as the cave fills, the pressure increases, and eventually the pressure and heat reach the critical point where water at the top of the tube starts to turn to steam. And then there's basically a steam explosion, and the steam pushes out some water, which reduces the pressure in the cave. Old Faithful erupts between 3,700 and 8,400 gallons each time it erupts, and it can last anywhere from 1.5 minutes to 4.5 minutes. It's pretty spectacular. There's a whole series of geysers and steam vents in the general area around Old Faithful. You really should plan on devoting a good chunk of time during your trip to this area. This area here is called Black Sand Basin. This is just one stop towards Madison Junction away from Old Faithful. We skipped it on the way to Old Faithful because we wanted to catch that and eat lunch, and we didn't know the timing of Old Faithful, and now we came back. This looked like a really interesting area with a lot of active geysers that are not so far away, so the walk is a little bit shorter. Now, we skipped Biscuit Basin. There's just a lot of active geysers in this area, and we were short on time, and we were honestly a little bit tired. So this area looks really cool. Now just look at the color here. You've got this bright turquoise. You have these bright yellow flowers behind it, the dark green grass, and then the river flowing right next to it. That is so unique. We just passed one of the major intersections where you could go down to Grant Village, or you could head over towards Lake Yellowstone. And right after that intersection, we made a left. We wanted to head up towards Lake Yellowstone. And to the right, there was a turnoff, and there's a trail for the Overlook. So, and there's restrooms here, there's tour buses. I really wanted an overlook of the lake. It looks spectacular. Really pretty because it's got these geyser basins with the lake in the background. So there's several layers of paths here with the beautiful basin and Yellowstone Lake. Now the information stand right there said that the caldera of this area is about the same size as the one that makes Crater Lake in Oregon. So this portion of the lake here is the West Thumb. It looks huge, but it's only one small portion of Yellowstone Lake. And the colors in the water is so pretty. And there's little shoreline geysers. This area was such a surprise. It was an impromptu stop and I really fell in love. It is one of my favorites. After this, we checked into our hotel at Grant Village after stopping to watch some of the wildlife. I'll be putting together a separate video on my stay here. After dinner, we decided to drive to the next stop along the Loop Drive. We wanted to check out the Lake Yellowstone Hotel and Cabins. The landscapes along this drive is just really dense forest with lakeshore views. On the way back to the hotel, just about 2 miles away from our lodge, we saw this. What a surprise!